Jack Morgan had been empty inside since his wife and daughter died in the New Earth colony attack. Once a proud soldier, he now took dangerous jobs because he did not care if he lived or died. The pain of losing his family had made him careless with his own life. When Admiral Crawford asked to meet him, Jack went without asking questions. They met in a small dark room far from the main military base. Crawford slid a folder across the table. "I need someone with your skills for a special job," Crawford said. His face showed no emotion. "A woman named Olivia Winters has stolen important research. She has run away to Halcyon with her young son." Jack opened the folder and looked at the picture of the woman and boy. The woman had dark hair and a strong face. Her eyes reminded Jack of his dead wife, which made his chest hurt. The boy looked about 6 years old with the same dark hair as his mother. "What did she steal?" Jack asked, his voice rough from lack of use. "Research that could help our enemies defeat us," Crawford said. "If the Vraxians get what she knows, millions of people will die. She is a traitor to all humans." Jack looked at the picture again. "You want me to bring her back?" Crawford shook his head slowly. "No. We need both of them removed and the research returned. No one can know it was us. It must look like local trouble, not military." Jack understood what Crawford was not saying. This was an order to kill them both, even the child. "Why me?" Jack asked. "Because you are the best," Crawford said, "and because you have nothing left to lose." 3 days later, Jack's small ship landed on Halcyon. The planet was mostly dust and rocks, with small areas where people had built homes and farms. Some humans lived here alongside the local Kalrathi, people who had agreed to share their world. Jack found a place on a hill where he could watch the small house where Olivia and her son lived. Through his scope, he could see the woman working in a garden while the boy played with what looked like a small robot pet. Their house was far from others, which would make his job easier. No one would hear anything. For 3 days, Jack watched them. He learned when they woke up, when they ate meals, and when they went to sleep. He saw how the mother always checked the area before letting her son play outside. She carried a gun on her hip at all times. She was scared of something, or someone. Jack thought about how he would do it. Fast and clean would be best. He could use poison in their water system. They would go to sleep and not wake up. He would get the research and be gone before anyone knew. As he watched the boy helping his mother in their small garden, Jack felt something twist inside him. The boy looked nothing like his Emma, but he was about the same age she had been when she died. Jack pushed the thought away. Feelings would only make the job harder. On the 4th day, a dust storm came. Jack saw his chance. He left his hiding place and walked toward the house, making his steps uneven like he was hurt. He messed up his clothes and put dust on his face. "Hello?" he called over the howling wind. "Is anyone there? I need help." The door opened and Olivia Winters stood there with her gun ready. She looked younger than her picture but had lines of worry on her face. "Who are you?" she shouted over the storm. "What do you want?" "My transport broke down 3 miles back," Jack said, bending over like he was in pain. "The storm came too fast. I will die out here if I don't find shelter." He could see her thinking, trying to decide if he was telling the truth. The boy peeked out from behind her legs, his eyes wide with interest and fear. "Are you carrying any weapons?" she asked. Jack slowly showed her a simple gun at his side. "Just this. Everyone who travels out here needs protection. Put it on the ground and kick it to me," she said. Jack did as she asked, knowing he had 3 more weapons hidden on his body. She picked up his gun and looked it over. "You can come in until the storm passes," she said, "but I will be watching you." Jack nodded and followed her inside. The house was small but clean. He saw a few advanced machines mixed with simple furniture. There were no communication systems that he could see. They really were alone out here. "I'm Olivia," the woman said. "This is my son Billy." "Jack," he replied, using his real name without thinking. "Thank you for helping me." "You can dry off by the heater," she said, not smiling. "Don't touch anything else." The boy, Billy, stared at Jack with big eyes. We don't get many visitors, he said. Mom says we have to be careful of strangers. Your mom is right, Jack said. The universe can be a dangerous place. That night, Jack lay on their small couch, listening to the storm hitting the house. He could have done it then. He had a small poison needle in his sleeve. He could have put it in their water and been done with his job. Instead, he found himself wondering what research could be so important that the military would send someone to kill a woman and her child. Crawford had said she was a traitor, but something felt wrong. In the morning, Olivia made a simple breakfast. Billy sat across from Jack, watching him eat. "Where are you going?" the boy asked. "Before your transport broke?" "Just passing through," Jack said. "I move around a lot." "We moved here last year," Billy said before his mother gave him a look that made him stop talking. "The storm is still bad," Olivia said. "Looks like you'll be staying another day at least." Jack nodded. "I appreciate the shelter." He looked around the room. "You're pretty far from the settlement. Must get lonely out here." "We like the quiet," Olivia said quickly. "Billy, go feed your robot pet." When the boy left, Olivia leaned forward. "Let's be clear. I don't know who you are or why you're really here, but if you try anything, I will kill you before you take 2 steps, understand?" Jack saw the truth in her eyes. This woman would fight to the death to protect her son. "I understand," he said. "I'm just grateful for the help." Later that day, while Olivia was outside checking their water system, Billy approached Jack with a paper in his hand. "I made this for you," the boy said, holding out a drawing. Jack took it and felt his heart stop for a moment. The picture showed 3 people, a woman, a small boy, and a tall man. "Who is this?" Jack asked, pointing at the man in the drawing. "That's you," Billy said simply. "And me and Mom. I thought maybe you could stay and help us. Mom gets sad when she thinks I don't see." Jack looked at the child's hopeful face and felt something crack inside his chest, like ice breaking on a frozen lake. "Your mom likes being alone," Jack said carefully. "What happened to your dad?" Billy's smile disappeared. "He died before I was born. Mom says he was a hero who saved lots of people." That night, while Olivia and Billy slept, Jack searched the house quietly. Behind a hidden panel, he found research notes and data chips. He quickly read through one of the journals and felt cold shock spread through his body. The research wasn't weapons technology like Crawford had said. It was medical research, a way to heal people who had been hurt by Vraxian psychic attacks. Attacks just like the one that had killed Jack's family on New Earth Colony. Olivia wasn't working against humans. She was trying to save them. Jack carefully put everything back and returned to the couch. He stared at the ceiling, thinking about Crawford's lies and the mission he had been given. In the morning, he would need to make a decision that would change everything. The dust storm lasted longer than anyone expected. Jack was now in his 3rd day at the small house with Olivia and Billy. 3 days to learn their daily life. 3 days to plan how he would finish his job. But something was changing inside him. He was starting to see them as real people, not just targets. On the morning of the 3rd day, Jack watched Billy play with his robot pet in the main room. The boy had named it Scout, and he talked to it like it was alive. "Mom made Scout for me," Billy told Jack proudly. "She can make anything work." "Your mom seems very smart," Jack said. He glanced toward the small room where Olivia was working, on some equipment. "What does she do all day in there?" Billy shrugged. "Science stuff. She says it will help people who got hurt." Jack thought about the research he had found. Olivia was working on a way to help victims of Vraxian attacks. People like those in the New Earth Colony, where his wife Elaine and daughter Emma had died. Their brains had been damaged by the Vraxian psychic weapons. If Olivia's research worked, it could save countless lives. So why had Crawford ordered him to kill her? Later that day, Jack helped Olivia fix a broken water filter. They worked side by side in silence until she finally spoke. "The storm should clear by tomorrow," she said. "Then you can be on your way." Jack nodded. "You've been very kind to a stranger." "Billy likes you," she said, not looking up from her work. "He doesn't meet many people. He's a good kid." Jack said. You've done well with him living out here alone. Olivia's hand stopped moving for a moment. We do what we have to do to survive. That evening, after a simple dinner, Billy fell asleep on the couch next to Jack. Without thinking, Jack gently moved the boy's head to a more comfortable position. Olivia watched him with careful eyes. You have children? She asked softly. Question hit Jack like a punch. Had, he said after a long pause. A daughter. Emma. She was about Billy's age when... He didn't finish the sentence. The New Earth attack, Olivia guessed. I'm sorry. Jack looked at her sharply. How did you know? I worked for the Coalition medical team before. She waved her hand to indicate their isolated home. I saw the reports. It was a terrible loss. My wife, too, Jack said, the words feeling strange in his mouth. He rarely spoke of them. I was away on a mission. By the time I got there, it was too late. Olivia's face softened with real sadness. No one should have to bear that kind of pain. Jack felt anger rise inside him. The Vraxians took everything from me. Crawford says your research could help them do the same to others. As soon as the words left his mouth, he knew he had made a mistake. Olivia's face went white. She stood up quickly and pulled a hidden gun from under the table, pointing it at his head. Who are you? She demanded, her voice hard but quiet so she wouldn't wake Billy. Who sent you? Jack didn't move. You know who sent me? Admiral Crawford, she said, her hand steady on the gun. Earth Coalition military. Yes. And your orders? Jack looked at the sleeping boy, then back at Olivia. To eliminate you both and recover your research. Olivia's jaw tightened, but her eyes showed more sadness than fear. And now? Now I'm not sure what to believe, Jack admitted. Crawford said you were developing weapons for the Vraxians, but your notes say you're working on healing the kind of damage they caused, the kind that killed my family, and many others, Olivia said. Her gun didn't waver. My research could help heal the victims of psychic attacks, but Crawford and his team want to use it differently. How? They want to turn it into a weapon, she said, to cause the same kind of brain damage to Vraxian civilians, even their children. They want revenge, not healing. Jack felt sick. And that's why you ran. Yes, Olivia said. When I refused to help them weaponize my work, they threatened to take Billy. He has a natural resistance to Vraxian influence. They wanted to study him like a lab animal, not caring if it hurt him. She lowered the gun slightly. So what happens? Now, Jack, are you going to complete your mission? Jack looked at Billy, peaceful in sleep. The boy who had drawn a picture of them as a family. The boy who had lost his father before he was born. No, Jack said finally. But we have a problem. When I don't report in, Crawford will send others. Olivia put the gun down on the table. How much time do we have? A day, maybe 2, Jack said. Is there somewhere you can go? Someone who can help you? There's a research station on Europa, Olivia said. Run by scientists who left Earth Coalition. They've been waiting for my research, but getting off planet without being seen. She shook her head. The spaceport is watched. I have a ship, Jack said. Small, but it can make the trip, and I know how to avoid Coalition patrols. Why would you help us? Olivia asked, still not trusting. Just yesterday you were sent to kill us. Jack didn't have a good answer. How could he explain that in 3 days, this woman and her son had woken something in him he thought had died with his family? A sense of purpose, a reason to live rather than just exist. Because Crawford lied to me, he said simply, and because your work could save lives. That night they made plans. Jack would go back to his ship in the morning and bring it close to the house. They would pack only what they needed, most importantly, Olivia's research data. Then they would leave Halcyon before anyone knew they were gone. As Jack lay on the couch, unable to sleep, he heard small footsteps. Billy stood in the doorway, rubbing his eyes. I had a bad dream, the boy said. Do you want me to get your mom? Jack asked quietly. Billy shook his head and moved closer. Can I stay with you for a little while? Jack hesitated, then moved over, to make room. Billy climbed onto the couch and settled against Jack's side. My mom told me you're going to help us leave tomorrow, Billy whispered. Yes, Jack said. We need to go somewhere safer. Are the bad people coming? Jack didn't want to scare the boy, but he wouldn't lie to him either. Maybe, but I won't let them hurt you or your mom. Billy was quiet for so long that Jack thought he had fallen asleep. Then the boy spoke again. My mom has pictures of my dad, but I don't remember him, he said. She says he was brave like you. Jack didn't know what to say to that. He wasn't brave. He had been ready to kill them both just days ago. When we go to the new place, Billy continued sleepily. Can you stay with us? I don't know, buddy, Jack said honestly. I hope you do, Billy murmured as he drifted off to sleep. It would be nice to have a dad. Jack felt something warm and painful spread through his chest. He looked down at the sleeping child and made a silent promise. He would get them safely to Europa, whatever it took. He would not fail this family, as he had failed his own. In the morning, they began to pack. Olivia carefully stored her research data in a special case. Jack checked his weapons and planned their route to his hidden ship. Just as they were almost ready, an alarm sounded from a small device on Olivia's belt. Someone's coming, she said, her face tight with fear. A ship just entered the atmosphere near here. Crawford, Jack said grimly. We're out of time. Jack moved quickly to the window and looked outside. A small ship was landing about a mile away. They found us faster than I expected, he said. We need to move now. Olivia grabbed Billy and pulled him close. What about your ship? It's too far to reach in time. Jack thought fast. There's another way. Do you have any hidden exits from this house? Yes, Olivia nodded. There's a tunnel under the floor in the back room. We dug it when we first arrived. It leads to a cave about half a mile east. Good, Jack said. Grab only what you need and the research. We leave in 2 minutes. As Olivia rushed to gather her things, Jack knelt in front of Billy. The boy's eyes were wide with fear, but he wasn't crying. Are you scared? Jack asked. Billy nodded. A little, but Mom says it's okay to be scared as long as you don't let it stop you. Your mom is right, Jack said, feeling proud of the boy's courage. I need you to be very brave now and do exactly what I say. Can you do that? Yes, Billy said firmly. Jack ruffled the boy's hair. That's my boy. Olivia returned with a small bag and the case containing her research. We're ready. Jack checked his weapons one last time. I'll go first. If anything happens to me, keep going east until you reach the mining area. Find someone named Dax. He owes me a favor. They moved to the back room where Olivia lifted a hidden door in the floor. A narrow tunnel stretched into darkness. Billy, first, Jack said. Then you, Olivia. I'll cover our backs. As they entered the tunnel, Jack heard the sound of ships flying over the house. He pulled the door closed and followed Olivia and Billy into the darkness. The tunnel was tight with just enough room to crawl. Billy moved quickly ahead, seeming to know the way even in the dim light. After about 10 minutes of crawling, they reached a wider space where they could stand. A faint light came from a crack in the rock above. The cave is just ahead, Olivia whispered. There's a hidden exit that leads into a dry riverbed. They had just started moving again when they heard a muffled explosion from far behind them. They're searching the house, Jack said. They'll find the tunnel soon. We need to hurry. They moved faster, no longer worrying about making noise. Soon they reached the cave, a small space with a narrow opening to the outside. Jack peered out cautiously. The dry riverbed stretched before them with rocky hills on either side. I don't see anyone, he said. But they'll have scanners. We need to find cover. They climbed out of the cave and started moving along the riverbed, staying close to the rocks. Billy kept up well, not complaining even though Jack could see he was tired. There's an old mining camp beyond those hills, Olivia said, pointing ahead. It's abandoned, But there might be a vehicle we could use. They had just reached the edge of the hills when they heard the sound of engines. Jack looked up to see two small flying vehicles coming their way. "Down!" he shouted, pulling Olivia and Billy behind a large rock. The vehicles flew overhead, their searchlights scanning the ground. They passed by without stopping, heading toward the old mining camp. "They're checking all the places we might go," Jack said. "We need a different plan." He thought for a moment, then made a decision. "I'll create a distraction. You two head west, toward that ridge. There's a place there where the rocks form a natural shelter. Hide there until I come for you." "No." Olivia shook her head. "We stay together." "We don't have a choice," Jack argued. "They're closing in. If we split up, I can draw them away from you." Before Olivia could argue further, Billy spoke up. "Please, don't leave us," he said, his voice small but clear. "You promised." Jack looked at the boy's face and felt his resolve weaken. The truth was, he was afraid too. Not of the danger, but of losing this chance at a new life, a life with meaning. "Okay," he said finally. "We stay together, but we need to be smart about this." Jack took out a small device from his pocket. "This is a scanner jammer. It will hide our heat signatures for about an hour. After that, we'll be visible to their sensors again." He activated the device, which made a soft humming sound. "Now we need to move fast and find better cover." They continued along the riverbed, moving as quickly and quietly as they could. The sun was starting to set, which would help hide them, but also made the rocky terrain more dangerous. After about 20 minutes, they reached a place where the riverbed split into two paths. Jack stopped to think about which way to go. Suddenly, Billy tugged on his sleeve and pointed to a narrow gap in the rocks that neither adult had noticed. "What about there?" Jack examined the gap. It was barely visible, but looked just big enough for them to squeeze through. "Good eye, Billy," he said, impressed. "Let's check it out." Jack went first, squeezing through the narrow opening. Inside, he found a small hidden valley with steep walls all around. At the far end, partly hidden by rocks, sat an old transport vehicle. "Olivia, Billy, come through," he called softly. "I think we found our ride out of here." Once they were all inside the hidden valley, Jack examined the transport. It was an older model, probably left behind by miners, but it looked mostly intact. "You get it working?" Olivia asked. "I can try," Jack said, opening the engine compartment. While Jack worked on the transport, Olivia set up a small shelter for Billy using some rocks and a blanket from her bag. The boy was tired but still alert, watching everything Jack did with interest. "Will that take us to your ship?" Billy asked. "If I can get it running, yes," Jack replied as he connected wires. "And then my ship will take us to Europa where you and your mom will be safe." "And you'll stay with us?" Billy pressed. Jack glanced at Olivia, who was watching them both with an unreadable expression. "If that's what you both want," Jack said carefully. "I want it," Billy said without hesitation. He turned to his mother. "Don't you, Mom?" Olivia's face softened. "We can talk about that when we're safe." Jack worked for nearly an hour before the transport's engine finally sputtered to life. "Got it," he said triumphantly. Just then, his scanner jammer made a dying sound and went dark. "The jammer's dead," he warned. "They'll be able to find us now. We need to move." They quickly loaded into the transport, with Jack driving, Olivia in the passenger seat and Billy in the back. The vehicle was old and slow, but it ran. "There's a back way out of this valley," Olivia said, pointing to a narrow path. "It should lead toward your ship." Jack steered the transport along the path, which was barely wide enough for the vehicle. They bumped and jostled over the rough ground, moving as fast as the old transport would go. "Jack," Olivia said suddenly, pointing to the sky. They found us. Two coalition ships were circling overhead, their lights pinpointing the transport. "Hold on," Jack warned, pushing the engine harder. "This is going to get rough." The old transport bounced hard over the rocky ground as Jack pushed it to its limits. The two coalition ships followed from above, their lights fixed on the fleeing vehicle. "They're going to land ahead of us," Jack said, watching the ships change direction. "We need to find cover." "There," Olivia pointed to a narrow canyon on their right. The ravine is too tight for their ships to follow. Jack turned the transport sharply, nearly tipping it over as they entered the canyon. The walls rose high on both sides, blocking the view from above. The transport barely fit through the narrow space. "Will they follow us on foot?" Billy asked from the back seat, his voice steady despite the danger. "Yes," Jack said honestly, "but this gives us time." They drove through the winding canyon for several minutes before it opened into a wider area with several paths branching off. "Which way to your ship?" Olivia asked. Jack pointed to a path leading north. "That direction about 2 miles, but they'll expect that. We need to think differently." He stopped the transport and studied their surroundings. "There," he said, pointing to a steep path that led up the canyon wall. "That ridge connects to the hills near my ship. If we can get up there, we can approach from above instead of below." "Can this old thing climb that?" Olivia asked doubtfully. "We're about to find out," Jack said, turning the transport toward the steep path. The engine strained as they climbed, rocks sliding under the wheels. Several times they nearly rolled backward, but Jack managed to keep them moving forward. Behind them, they could hear voices echoing in the canyon. "They're coming," Olivia said, looking back. "Almost there," Jack promised as they neared the top of the ridge. Just as they reached the top, the transport's engine made a horrible grinding noise and died. Smoke poured from under the hood. "End of the line for this ride," Jack said. "We'll have to go on foot from here." They quickly got out, Jack helping Billy climb down from the high seat. The voices in the canyon were getting louder. "This way," Jack said, leading them along the ridge. "Stay low and move quickly." They ran in a crouch along the rocky ridge, using the large boulders for cover. The sun had set completely now, and the darkness helped hide them. After about 10 minutes, Jack stopped and pointed ahead. "There," he said. "My ship is in that clearing below us." They could see the small ship sitting in a hidden clearing, its dark surface blending with the shadows. It wasn't much to look at, an older model scout vessel designed for speed rather than comfort, but it was their only way off the planet. "How do we get down there?" Olivia asked. "The slope looks too steep." Jack pulled a thin rope from his pack. "We climb down, one at a time. I'll go first to secure the ship, then you send Billy down to me and you come last." Olivia nodded, understanding the plan. Jack tied the rope to a large rock and began to lower himself down the steep slope. He moved carefully but quickly, knowing they didn't have much time. When he reached the bottom, he waved up to Olivia. She helped Billy get into position, then slowly lowered him down the rope. Jack waited below, arms ready to catch the boy if he slipped. "You're doing great, Billy," Jack called softly, "just like we practiced in the canyon." Billy moved steadily down the rope, his small hands gripping tightly. When he was about halfway down, they heard a shout from the ridge they had just left. "There they are!" A shot rang out, missing them but hitting the rocks nearby. Olivia ducked, behind a boulder, returning fire with her own weapon to give Billy time to descend. "Hurry!" Jack called. Billy moved faster, almost falling in his rush. Jack reached up and caught him for the last few feet, setting him safely on the ground. "Get to the ship and start the power-up sequence like I showed you," Jack told him. Billy nodded and ran toward the ship while Jack turned to look up at Olivia. She was pinned down by fire from above, unable to start her descent. "Olivia, you need to move now," Jack shouted. She fired a few more shots, then grabbed the rope and started down. Jack provided covering fire, forcing their pursuers to take cover. Olivia was halfway down when a shot hit the rope above her, fraying but not breaking it. "Don't stop," Jack yelled. "Keep moving." Olivia continued her descent, the rope straining with each movement. Just as she neared the bottom, the rope snapped. Jack lunged forward and caught her, both of them falling to the ground. They quickly scrambled to their feet and ran for the ship. Billy had the entry ramp down and the engines humming with pre-flight checks. Jack and Olivia rushed inside, and Jack sealed the door behind them. "Everyone strap in," Jack ordered as he jumped into the pilot's seat. "This is going to be a rough takeoff." Olivia helped Billy into a seat and secured his straps before buckling herself in. Outside, they could see figures approaching the ship, weapons raised. Jack's hands flew over the controls, bypassing the normal startup sequence. The engines roared, to life much louder than they should have been. "Something's wrong with the left engine," Jack muttered. "But it will have to do." The ship lifted off the ground just as their pursuers reached the clearing. Shots pinged off the hull as Jack pushed the throttle forward. The ship rose shakily, tilting to one side before Jack managed to stabilize it. "Are we going to make it?" Olivia asked, gripping her seat tightly. "We're not dead yet," Jack replied, focusing on the controls. "That's a good start." They climbed higher, the ship shuddering with the strain. Below them, more coalition forces were arriving, including a larger military vessel. "They're sending a pursuit ship," Jack warned. "We need to reach orbit before they can lock onto us." The small ship climbed through the atmosphere, engine whining in protest. Warning lights flashed across the control panel. "Left engine is overheating," Jack reported, his voice tense but controlled. "We'll have to shut it down once we clear the atmosphere." Billy watched everything with wide eyes, not saying a word but taking it all in. Olivia reached across and took his hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "Almost there," Jack said as the sky darkened to black and stars became visible. "Just a little more." Suddenly the left engine gave out completely, sending the ship into a spin. Jack fought with the controls, using the remaining engine and maneuvering thrusters to stabilize their flight. For a heart-stopping moment it seemed like they would fail, but then the ship steadied. "We made it to orbit," Jack said, breathing hard. "But we won't outrun that pursuit ship with only one engine." Olivia leaned forward. "What options do we have?" Jack checked the navigation system. "There's a commercial transport lane nearby. If we can reach it and mix in with the traffic, we might lose them long enough to make a jump to another system." "And then to Europa?" Billy asked hopefully. Jack nodded. "And then to Europa." He adjusted their course, pushing the remaining engine as hard as he dared. The ship moved forward, slower than it should have, but still making progress. Behind them, the coalition pursuit ship was closing the distance. "They're gaining on us," Olivia said, watching the scanner. Jack's expression was grim but determined. "We just need a little more time." As they approached the transport lane, the pursuit ship fired a warning shot across their path. "Unidentified. Vessel, this is Earth Coalition military," a voice came over the comm system. "Power down and prepare to be boarded." Jack ignored the message, continuing toward the transport lane where several large cargo ships were visible. "Jack Morgan," the voice changed, becoming more personal. "This is Admiral Crawford. You are harboring fugitives and stealing military property. Stand down immediately." Jack looked at Olivia, who clutched the case containing her research tighter to her chest. Then he glanced back at Billy, whose trusting eyes met his without fear. "Going silent," Jack said, shutting off the comm system. "Hold on tight. We're going to make it through this." He pushed the ship forward, aiming for the gap between two massive cargo vessels. Jack guided his damaged ship between the two massive cargo vessels, barely squeezing through the narrow gap. The ship's remaining engines strained with the effort, making the whole craft shake. "They won't fire on us while we're this close to civilian ships," Jack explained as they emerged on the other side. "It would cause too many questions." He was right. The coalition pursuit ship slowed its approach, still following, but no longer firing. "What now?" Olivia asked. "We can't outrun them with one engine." Jack checked the navigation system. "There's a jump point ahead. If we can reach it, we can make a blind jump." "A blind jump?" Olivia looked worried. "That's dangerous." "Staying here is more dangerous," Jack replied grimly. They continued forward, weaving between the cargo ships in the busy transport lane. Jack's ship was small enough to fit in spaces the larger pursuit ship couldn't follow directly. This gave them some advantage, but the military vessel kept pace, waiting for them to leave the crowded shipping lane. Billy watched from his seat, his eyes wide, but not frightened. "Are we going to make it?" he asked quietly. "Yes," Jack said with confidence he didn't fully feel. "We're going to make it." As they approached the jump point, Jack made a quick decision. "Olivia, I need you to take the controls for a minute." She looked surprised but moved to the pilot seat when Jack stood up. "What are you doing?" Creating a distraction, he said, moving to a panel in the back of the ship. He pulled it open, revealing a set of emergency beacons. Keep us on course. For the jump point. Jack programmed the beacons quickly, then returned to an equipment locker and pulled out a small launcher. When I give the word, he told Olivia, make a sharp turn to the right, then immediately back to our original course. Jack opened a small hatch on the side of the ship. Cold air rushed in as he positioned the launcher. Now, he shouted. Olivia turned the ship hard to the right. At the same moment, Jack fired the launcher, sending 6 small beacons shooting off in different directions. He quickly closed the hatch and returned to the pilot seat. What did you do? Olivia asked as she gave him back the controls. Those beacons are broadcasting our ship's signature, Jack explained. They'll create multiple false readings on their scanners. Sure enough, when they checked their own scanner, they could see the pursuit ship hesitate, unable to determine which signal was the real target. That won't fool them for long, Jack said, but it should be long enough to reach the jump point. They flew straight for the jump coordinates, no longer trying to hide among the cargo vessels. Behind them, the pursuit ship had begun checking each signal, eliminating the decoys one by one. They'll figure it out soon, Olivia warned, watching the scanner. We're almost there, Jack replied, his eyes fixed on the navigation display. The jump point was just ahead, a designated area where ships could safely enter hyperspace. Jack's fingers flew over the controls, preparing for the jump. The ship's computer warned that the damaged engine made a jump risky, but they had no choice. Everyone hold on, Jack said. This might be rough. Just as they reached the jump point, the pursuit ship locked onto their real position and fired another warning shot. Last chance, Morgan. Crawford's voice came over the comm again. Power down now or the next shot won't miss. Jack looked at Olivia and Billy, then hit the jump. Control. The stars outside the viewport stretched into lines, and the ship shuddered violently as it entered hyperspace. Warning alarms blared throughout the cabin. Engine overload, Jack shouted over the noise. The damaged engine can't handle the strain. He worked frantically to stabilize their jump, rerouting power and shutting down non-essential systems. The ship continued to shake, threatening to break apart. Billy, get in the emergency pod, Olivia ordered, unbuckling her son and pushing him toward a small compartment in the wall. Not without you and Jack, Billy protested. We're right behind you, Olivia promised. Just get in now. As Billy reluctantly entered the pod, Jack managed to bring the ship's shaking under control. The alarms quieted, though warning lights still flashed across the control panel. We're stable, Jack announced. For now. Olivia let out a relieved breath. Where did we jump to? Jack checked the navigation system. We're in the Proxima system. Not where we wanted to go, but far enough from Halcyon that Crawford won't find us easily. He set the ship on a course for the nearest space station, where they could make repairs before continuing to Europa. We made it, Olivia said, still seeming surprised by the fact. We made it, Jack agreed, allowing himself to relax slightly. For the first time in days. Billy emerged from the emergency pod, looking around cautiously. Are the bad people gone? Yes, Jack assured him. We're safe for now. The boy smiled and came to stand between Jack and Olivia's seats. I knew you could do it, he said simply, his trust complete. 3 days later, after making basic repairs at a small outpost, they continued their journey to Europa. The ship limped along on its patched-up engine, but it was enough to get them where they needed to go. As they approached the research station orbiting Europa, Olivia contacted her colleagues to arrange their arrival. Jack listened to her explain what had happened and why they had come. They'll welcome us, she told Jack after ending the call. They've been expecting my research for months. And they know I'm coming too? Jack asked. Yes, Olivia said. I told them you're with us. Jack nodded, but a question still hung between them. Would he stay? Now that they were almost safe, the future seemed uncertain. His mission was over. He had chosen his side. But what came next? As if reading his thoughts, Billy appeared beside him. Are you going to live with us at the new place? He asked directly, Jack looked at Olivia, waiting for her response. Her face softened. Jack saved our lives, she told her son. He can stay with us as long as he wants. Forever? Billy pressed. Olivia smiled, meeting Jack's eyes. That's up to him. Billy turned to Jack with hope plainly visible on his face. Will you stay forever, please? Jack thought about the empty life he had led since losing his family, the missions he had taken just to feel something. The moment he had entered Olivia and Billy's home, planning to end their lives, only to find a new purpose for his own. Yes, he said finally. I'll stay. Billy threw his arms around Jack's waist, hugging him tightly. I knew you would, he said, with absolute certainty. As they approached the docking bay of the research station, Jack put his arm around Billy's shoulders. He looked at Olivia, who was watching them with a gentle smile. Crawford won't stop looking for us, Jack warned. He wants your research and he'll want revenge on me. Then we'll be ready, Olivia said with determination. Together. Jack nodded, feeling something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Not just for survival, but for a future worth living. The research station grew larger in their viewport, its lights welcoming them home. Billy pressed his face to the glass, watching with excitement. Look, Dad, he said without thinking. We're here. The word hung in the air for a moment. Dad. The boy had called him Dad. Jack felt his throat tighten with emotion. Olivia reached across and took Jack's hand. Welcome home, she said softly. As their ship docked at the station, Jack knew this was just the beginning. They would face more challenges. Crawford would not give up easily. But for the first time since he had lost his wife and daughter, Jack had found a reason to fight, to live, to hope. He had been sent to kill a pioneer, woman and her son. Instead, they had saved him in every way that mattered. And when Billy called him father, Jack knew he had found his way home.